Welcome to Perspective, the podcast. Thank you all for joining me here today. If this is your first time, hey, we're here to have a conversation. Again, our objective here is to shed an open light on funeral service. We're going to talk about anything that runs through your mind because we know there are a lot of questions when it comes to this industry. Who makes me the professional? Some would say I know what I'm doing, some would say I don't, but let me tell you a little bit about me. Again, for those who don't know me, my name is Mark Fisher, owner of the M.E. Fisher Funeral Home. I've been a licensed funeral director and embalmer in the state of Virginia for 31 years, also licensed in the state of North Carolina. I own a funeral home here in Newport News, Virginia. Part of my history, I worked at one of the largest firms here in Southeast Virginia. That's where I really cut my teeth. I sat on the national board. That's the entity that writes the test for the students for 13 years. So I think I may be able to tell you one or two things about funeral service. So keeping it real as I always do. This episode, Mama just died. What next? Looking at how society is running now, a lot of people are experiencing death for the first time. And in this episode, we're going to look into that. I'm going to tell you some things to expect, some things that you may can do to prepare. And more than anything, we're going to talk about grief. Because dealing with the grief process while trying to make funeral arrangements and not being prepared can bring a whole lot of stress and anxiety. And we want to help relieve that by letting you know what to do, what to expect, and we want to just be transparent. Most funeral homes will tell you what they want you to know, but not really what you need to hear. Yes, we have a lot of laws that guide us. So some things we have to do a certain way. But I want to be open and honest. My funeral home has believed in that since day one. We've been here since November 1 of 2004. This will be our 20th year anniversary. So in order to help and to educate, God told me, go live. Just talk to people. If they want to ask questions, they have an opportunity to jump into the live so I can explain things to them. And we're just going to look at funeral service from a totally different light. Now, you know me. I keep it real and we go to different things. So I'm going to go now to an intro. And as you know, every week, I'm going to show you a few episodes of some things that happen in funeral service just to spark attention. I want you to tell me what you think. I'll tell you my honest opinion and what I think. And then we'll talk about how this may help a family, or really does it help a family through their grieving process. But we're going to look at a few things. Let's go right here to number 1.
The day I found my friend at his funeral.
In my area of Virginia, we don't do crowns. A lot of families don't ask us. Don't know if they have seen it, don't know. But it's something that we normally don't do here in Newport News, Southeast Virginia. But in other parts of the world, ceremonies like that are very popular. I've heard a lot of people say they love it. I've heard just as many people say they hate it. For my personal opinion, it's the family choice. If the family chooses to celebrate their loved one like that, why should anyone have to do it? You celebrate your loved one. Now, what I want you to think is yes, it extends this way. It can be to we have to consider sometimes some of the elderly people just being sick or it's hard to know. We have others that most of the it's not appropriate to stand up in the middle of a funeral and walk out. So they sit, they suffer. We have to be cognizant of that at all times. Is this really something that everyone is enjoying, or is it just something that we want to do? But I have no opinion. If a family wants it, yes, we're going to give it to them all day long. Now, to let you know a little bit about how it works, as you see, normally when it's done, it's a marching procedure. I come from marching band. Anybody that knows me, Norfolk State University and Virginia State University. We're going to come down the field on a 90, meaning the thigh is going to be parallel to the ground. Is your staff capable of doing that without falling down and embarrassing themselves? These are all things that we have to think about in funeral service. Can we physically do it? I'm not seeing a lot of young guys getting in the funeral service in our area, so we're dealing with gentlemen in their 70s, some of them early 60s, just retiring, getting a part-time job. Can they handle that? I don't know. But it's something we have to think about as a profession. Does anybody have any questions? Because I'm checking the chat, checking the comments. If you want to talk to me, talk to me. I'm right here. I'll answer anything you'd like to. Let's take a look at something else like that.
My cousin all at the funeral with her shit.
See? In the chapel of the funeral. And as you see, I get a lot of these videos.
My cousin all at the...
A whole lot of interesting things about funeral service. Was that right or wrong? I have no comment. If the family said yes, it is fine if you and your friends, your crew, your team come and perform a dance. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with it? They do praise dancing at church. Could this be a form of praise dancing? Something to think about. I think we need to step away from the old straight traditions that we grew up with in the 60s and the 70s. I was born in 64. I'll tell you the truth. Back in my day, you've been put out of the church. Really, you've been put out. But today, let's be grateful that those young children had enough respect to want to come to the funeral. There could have been 100 other places they could have been cutting up more than that. So we have to embrace the youth, the new community that we're in, and we have to accept it. We can't always be pointing the finger, wanting to condemn and say that they're wrong. But just something to think about. This could happen at anybody's funeral. Now, Pastor, I don't know if you'll allow it in your church, but in my chapel, it could happen all day. So family, if you want to do something a little bit different, a little extreme like that, I would say, please let us speak to the minister before we get in the church so we don't have any type of situations that embarrass either of us. Just a thought. I'm going to go with a third, then I'm going to get into the presentation.
Me at Tina Turner's funeral.
Now, I'm looking at two things. The first are the gentlemen with the casket on their shoulders. The second,
Me at Tina Turner's funeral.
Do you see the family member sitting on the first pew, looking like they're about to fall out? Grief and emotion can do that. Sometimes some of the ways we want to honor loved ones can be so overwhelming that we get a reaction that we are not expecting. Now, I want you to think about this. The deceased in the casket, let's just estimate they weigh 200 pounds. That appeared to be a metal sealer casket. And let's just estimate it on the light side of 200 pounds. Now, you had four gentlemen take a casket from a church truck. The church truck is the device that we use to rest the casket on when we go to church. And normally we roll the casket with that. But in instances like this, the gentleman picked the casket up bring it head level and place it on their shoulders. From there, they walk out the church in step, sometimes marching. I know it looks good, it looks unique, but from my perspective as an owner and a businessman, I would warn against it all day. First reason. What if one of the pallbearers injures their back as they go to take the casket up, and then your loved one ends up on the floor? It could happen. What if during some part of this transaction or this movement, someone has a misstep, stumble, something gets in the way? Where's your loved one? What do you think's going to happen? I'm not for that because of the liability to my staff, my team, because here I believe in team. It's no big I, no little you. We're all the same. I will clean the restroom. I will make a funeral arrangement. I will embalm a body. I mean, there's no task beneath me. So if I wouldn't want to injure myself like that, it's no way that I would place my team or my staff under any type of condition that they may injure themselves. Just something to talk about, something to think about. Coming live, Mark E. Fisher, M.E. Fisher Funeral Home. Again, this is Perspective, the podcast, Conversations with a Funeral Professional. We'll talk about any topic that you'd like to. Now I'm going to go into the presentation. As I said earlier, I am noticing many times families don't know what to do when someone dies. Well, I'm going to explain a couple of things that happen. When you first hear of the death, grief starts immediately. For anyone that may know, may not know, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross was a psychologist and sociologist. Most funeral service professionals have studied her work while in mortuary school. She was the first to define the 5 stages of grief. The 5 stages are: first is denial. We don't want to believe that the person has actually passed. Then it goes to anger. But before I go further, these stages do not go straight line. You may go between each one of these 5 steps within minutes. That's why it makes it difficult when someone dies and there's not a plan. After anger, she then labels bargaining, where you're kind of accepting what's going on, which is not quite there yet, but you know it had to happen. From there, depression. We all know what depression is. We all have had a moment of it through death or whatever. And once you finally round that up, we get to acceptance, where we understand what has happened. We realize that it was God's plan. There's nothing we can do. And we start to heal. You're not healed yet. It's still going to be moments. But knowing that these 5 stages are going to happen when someone dies, it just causes more apprehension. It causes resistance. It causes fear. And it causes anxiety. The next thing from there is a panic attack. So the first thing I would say, when a loved one passes, immediately take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath and stop. No, God, I believe in God and Jesus Christ. But I'm going to say, know that the universe is working. The universe works in ways that we will never understand. It was planned before we were born. So there's nothing you can do to change the situation. It is what it is. And now you're going to have to figure a way to work through it. But keep your sanity and keep your peace of mind. So I'm going to guide you through the process of planning a funeral, what to think about as it's happening, and things you should know. Some questions that you also maybe should ask so that when you get to your funeral professional, you know about things. just something to think about. In today's society, most people haven't planned for their death. So if they haven't planned for it, you can certainly know they haven't talked about it to their closest of kin or most significant others. Another thing I'm seeing is many are experiencing or having to plan a funeral for the first time. Everybody's apprehensive when they've never done something before. So to add grief on top of that, it puts you into panic mode. I understand all day. I've seen the transitions in the past 3 decades that I've been working funeral service, and we need to educate. So, as I said, I'm taking the time, and every week, I'm going to give an effort to educate you on some topic of funeral service. And I hope that you, the audience, give me some suggestions so I can talk about what you want to hear about. And as you know, the bottom bullet point, the not knowing, is what causes you the additional stress. If you knew some things, it wouldn't be as stressful. You would just know it's a sequence of order that must happen, and the funeral home can then help you, benefit you the best way that it can. Some more things I'm hearing. I never planned a funeral. Well, back in the day, we used to have what was called Big Mama. Whenever something happened serious in the family, Big Mama knew what to do. Big Mama called everybody together around the kitchen table. She's going to tell you the plan. She's going to tell you the time, the day. She's going to walk in the funeral home and may tell the rest of y'all, shut up. I'm doing the talking. I've seen it happen. And Big Mama knew what to do because she had helped her mother plan for funerals. And she'd seen it. She knew the experience. Another thing that I hear every day is, I'm just shopping. I'm just shopping. That is a wise decision to research before you commit to a funeral home. Wise. One thing that we do on our website, we have our general price list as well as our packages. Now, and I know the general consumer understands the packages a lot easier than the general price list. But the Federal Trade Commission demands that we place a general price list in your hand before we even walk into the arrangement room. We give you that as well as the package price list because from the general price list, you don't know what components make the package that may put the funeral together that you're looking for. So we made it a little convenient. Honestly, we took it from the fast food industry. When they started combos back in the 80s, that was a package. So we do funerals the same way. We have packages starting at a decent price that anybody can afford. Please go to our website. You can see them all. MeFisherFuneralHome.com. We also offer cremation and cremation packages at multiple price points. That transparency will help you because you will see exactly what you're getting, line item for line item, transparent. The price will not change when you walk in the door. So I'm going to say yes, please do your research. Read your Google reviews, positive and negative. And remember, a Google review doesn't have to be right all the time. Someone could have had a bad day and given the funeral home a bad review, just keeping it real. Every time you see a 5 doesn't mean that was also a perfect experience. So you're going to have to use also the spirit of discernment, something that God gave you. In your spirit, as you're looking and talking to people, you'll feel who to call because it's funeral. Another question we hear every day, well, how much does it cost? How much does it cost? That depends. It depends on what type of service that you're desiring. It can be as economical as can be, or it can be as outrageous as a Michael Jackson funeral. What would you like? Our job is to facilitate, not to tell you what to do, but to facilitate your wishes. A lot of this comes as well because we haven't spoken to the deceased to know their wishes before they pass. Things like that older generation need to learn to open up and communicate as well. Tell the family where the insurance policies are. Tell them what type of service that they want. Because if a grandchild comes into their grandma who's 85 and say the child is 36 or 40, do they really know grandma's wishes? Did they really speak to her and say, Grandma, when you pass, what would you like? Probably not in today's society. But that's something to do. If you have an elderly loved one that you have to care for, bring up the conversation. They may not want to talk about it, but if you start, they'll probably come back and talk to you later and tell you. Then you have some type of guidance. Then you can match that to the price list to see if this is a service that you can afford. Because I'm going to keep this real with you as well. Funerals normally are not financed. Funerals normally are not financed with a down payment and a payment plan. Most of us do not operate like that. There are moments that will help you, but that's just not how this industry works. Mostly you finance a house and you finance a car, maybe a major appliance, but a funeral is not something that normally is financed. Because we're not lending institutions, I cannot charge you a percentage rate every month so I can make money when you owe me money. We don't operate like that. Another question I ask are, what services do you offer? Well, every funeral home in America, I'm not going to say every, let me change that. 99% of us, we offer traditional funerals with a burial. We offer funerals that are followed by cremation. We offer cremations with memorial services. We offer direct cremation. We offer international and national shipping of remains. A lot of people don't think about that part, but in this transient area in which we live, we ship a lot of remains back to their home for their final resting place. Here at my funeral home, we do quite a bit of work with Ethiopia, Morocco, Cameroon, South Africa. We've done some with Spain, Italy, France, Mexico, and the Caribbean islands. So we kind of specialize in international and national shipping. A lot of it is doing with paperwork. We have to contact embassies, deliver paperwork to embassies. We have to make sure the country is going to receive remains, where the burial place is going to be there, and that's what we do. So if you're needing to ship out international or local, nationally in the country, we're here to handle any type of need that you may have. So as I'm choosing to educate the community, I want you to ask questions. Our service as a funeral home should make your life easier. We know that you're dealing with a lot, so a lot of the paperwork, that stress, we take it off your hands. The first line item that you'll see in the contract is professional services. A lot of people don't understand what that means. Things like paperwork, processing obituaries, death certificates, that's professional services. We should be doing all of that paperwork for you if you allow. Now, I do understand a lot of families don't allow it because you have investments, capital gains, and things you don't want to know anything about. And we understand your privacy. Because I would not like to process your $1 million policy either and have to give you back over 900 and some thousand and change. I mean, that's just a big transaction in the bank that we can leave alone. So we understand some families that don't want us to process certain things for them. In educating you, as I started, grief is a process. And as you see on screen, these are the steps. Remember, they do not run in a straight line. The average funeral arrangement takes about an hour 15 minutes. How I gauge, the word effectiveness is not right, but how do I gauge is what we're doing right. The average family that walks in on the lap into, you can see it on their face, so we try to greet them at the door with a warm, give them a smile, a hug. As the arrangement grieving process goes on, you'll see them cry. You'll see them then laugh because they thought of a moment of joy. You may see the anger come out. So within that hour, I have witnessed 4 of these stages because acceptance is not going to come that fast. And you will just watch the family bounce from each emotion. And it's our job at that point is to realize and understand and not take advantage of. And not take advantage of. Back in the day, the funeral director played on your emotions. The more you cried, the more he tried to take more money from you. That's not how we operate here. So, the last thing on this slide, I want you to carefully choose your funeral home. I want you to think about what I'm saying, and I want you to carefully make a choice. Because low price doesn't always mean satisfaction. Just because something is cheap doesn't mean it's good, doesn't mean it's effective, doesn't mean it's going to really get the job done. So I'm going to say let your soul make a decision as to the call. But just understand these things as you go through the process of making arrangements. Next. Now these are the things that you need to know when you come to the funeral home. Because we can't help you with this. First, you need to know the type of service that you want. Is it a traditional funeral with burial? A funeral with cremation? Cremation with memorial service? You want us to ship your loved one? Because really, that's all we can do. The other option is anatomical donation, but that has to be started normally while the person is still living. Very rarely will the state of Virginia take a body for donation after death without a medical history done prior and registered with it. But we can help with that as well. Another thing that we need to know, guess what? I have Mark Rollison on. Thank you, my friend. Lamont Williams, thank you, my friend. These are friends that started out with me day one. I mean, people that just were there. Mark, we used to cut commercials together back when I first started. It was an awesome experience. Mark, you helped me get where I am today. We have Mr. Lamont Williams, one of the best accountants you've ever met in your life. When I got here, I knew nothing about running business. I was a mortician, funeral director, and embalmer extraordinaire. But I didn't know anything about it. And I gave a call. Lamont, Mark, thank you for where I am today. But another thing that we're going to need to know the church, chapel, graveside, or the location of your ceremony. Yes, we can help you with that, but you're going to have to kind of tell us what your wishes are, what you're wanting. As we know, when we went through COVID, Lord, everything was graveside. That's expanded now. So think of the options of where you want the service before we start. If your loved one was in the military, we're going to have a copy of the DD-214. That is the page of separation to let us know that they were honorably discharged from the military. Now, I have to let you know this. You must have an honorable discharge in order to get military benefits. Just remember that. It must be an honorable discharge. It must be. If you want to have a burial, we're going to need to know your cemetery of choice. Cemeteries are as unique as anything else. Prices can range also. We have a cemetery in the area that starts at a price of $1,490. That's $1,490. We have others that start at $5,500. So it depends upon where you would like to have your loved one laid to rest. That will determine the cost. Some cemeteries will require a vault to be used or a burial container, while other cemeteries, you can put the casketed remains directly into the earth. What is your choice? Now, this is some basic information that we must have. One of the main jobs of the funeral home or the funeral director is to file your death certificate and cancel your social security number. Back in the day, we did it on typewriter. We physically took it to the doctor. He wrote a signature on it. It was a running process. Now we do it through EDRS, which stands for Electronic Death Registration System. As soon as we put the name, social security number in, we can cancel the social security number immediately. So you, the family, don't have to do that part of the job as part of our professional services. We're going to need to know the full name of the deceased, including the maiden name. The maiden name is the name before marriage or the birth last name. We're going to need to know the date of birth, the date of death, the birthplace, city, and state. We're going to need to know the parents' complete names, including junior, senior, the third, fourth, fifth, as well as female maiden names. We're going to need to know the occupation of the deceased. We're going to need their home address. We're going to need to know the gender that they identify with. And lastly, the social security number. Now, of course, you know, once we sign a contract, we have to talk about payment. Most funeral homes will have a payment deadline before rendering service. They'll probably have a payment policy as well that you can ask for, which will discuss and describe how we expect to be paid. Well, I'll tell you how we work here. Yes, we process insurance. And as most funeral homes, cemeteries, and death care entities, there is a 5% fee when processing insurance. We take credit cards. We take cash. Cashier check. Money order. Any legal form of payment we pretty much will take. Now, I will not take a deed to a house. No. Not a title for a vehicle. No. The law does have provisions for that, but you have to go through the clerk of court. I do not need any additional property. I do not need a vehicle. So these are the basic ways that a funeral home operates. And once you come to us, we understand what you're needing. We then will show you the choices and options that you have. And in a competent way, we're going to make that service happen for you. It's just that easy. It is just that easy. So, right now, just a short overview. When death first occurs, just take a moment. Process what has gone on and what is going on. And I'm going to give you a little tip. If someone passes at a hospital, most hospitals will allow you a day or two, maybe 3, to decide upon a funeral home because they have refrigeration. They are equipped for that environment. So if your loved one passes in the hospital and it takes you a day or so to get your mind together, that's okay. It happens all the time. Now, nursing homes, and if you pass it home, work a little differently because they don't have refrigeration. They tend to want you to have your loved one removed as quickly as possible. But still, take your time. Don't feel as though you're pressured and have to make a decision within 5 minutes. If you need an hour or 2 to gather yourself, just tell them, I need a moment. I need to speak to the family, to the other family members, but I need a moment. Do that. That's your loved one, and you have to protect your health at the same time. So take a moment and do it. Call funeral homes and ask questions. If you can't get a straight, honest answer, if you're told something, you ask the question, how much is so-and-so? And you're told, well, that can range between this and this. Be lyrical. Be lyrical. Go to Google. Check the Google reviews. Call several funeral homes. Don't just call one. Call a few. Lastly, follow your gut instinct. Your inner self always knows what to do, but do we listen? If we remember from the Bible, it says, be still. God says, be still while I am God. listen to God and let Him guide you. That's what I would suggest. And I've been on here 30 minutes, a little bit longer than I thought today. Going back to the next scene, I'm about to close it out right now, though, but to tell you, I next want to show you something that we have created, and it's unique. I want to invite everyone to it. It's a platform online. Let me take you over here now. This is an online platform. In my mind, I'm seeing a space where not only my client and customer, but people, friends, can form a community in which they can communicate. And I'm not going to be on here to moderate, but this system runs 24 hours a day. When you log on, I'm going to take you through a little tour of a few rooms now to let you see how it works. This is the welcome lobby. This is the first room that you'll get to, and we then would like you to go throughout. If you scan the QR code right that you see on your screen, it'll bring you right here. We have a cafe, and I'm just going to take you through each screen. And why is the computer running slow? Here we are. In the cafe, this is telling me that my camera's on, my mic is on. As you see me right here. Whenever we have a live stream, if you want to talk afterwards, this room holds 18 people. If you want to have a more in-depth conversation, we can come over here and do it. Just tell me. Tell me in the chat, Mr. Fisher, we want to talk a little bit more about this here. I'll say, okay. I will send you the link or have it up on. We'll come right on over here and talk. Over here, as you see up in the top right, I have a playlist. So if you want to hear a little music while you're over here, you can click the button to hear a little music. I have a chat screen here, so if you want to type in and chat, you can do that. Talk to each other. That's what we want, a community where people can talk, be friends, work through problems, issues, because really we're all going through the same thing every day. Say you're over here and you meet one or two people and you all want to take a conversation a little bit deeper. Well, we have a lounge. Every time you log in, it's going to tell you that your mic is on. I'm going to minimize the chat. And this is a place, turn my camera on too so you can see. This is a place you can come over and have a more intimate conversation if you want to. As you see, I have an aquarium. Oh yeah. If you know me, you know the things I like and the things I do. I'm going to give you a little extra. Marching band, that's what we do. So, if you want to hear the music, you can. You probably can hear it now. But if you don't, turn it off. And as your conversation is going on, you have an aquarium in the background. Come on over to the Oasis. We're going to give you a place to relax, a place to talk. That's private, it's encrypted. And we build a community of each other. We have another room. Let me take you over to the Zen room. Yeah. The Zen room is made for quietness, reflection, meditation. Over here, I even have a meditation, and I am not sponsored by Headspace, but it's one of the best apps I've seen to promote meditation, calmness, relaxation, things like that. I even have a meditation playlist over here, relaxing background music, mood music, because sometimes you just need to quiet your mind and quiet yourself. We have a room for that. And as you see, it can hold 6 individuals. And these rooms, again, are open 24 hours a day. You wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, you can't sleep, check the room out. There may be someone else over there feeling the same thing. You all may have just gone through the same thing. Who knows? Because we are a funeral home. But I am not a grief counselor. Let you know that up front. I'm not certified in that. I have a grief room here. I have a video that speaks about the impact of grief. Also another aquarium that will play with background music And I also have your meditation music over here. Oh, I forgot my camera. And if you just click the circle, you can move from seat to seat. Again, this room is designed for 6 people. Just want to show you what we got going on. Now, I'm going to take you to another room to show you another side. Those were the public side that are open 24 hours a day. Just log on in. This is what I call my office. Sometimes people contact me, want to have a meeting, whatever, versus Zoom. I'll go with this, and it works. Now, for funeral arrangements, we know a lot of families do not want to come into the funeral home. We know. So, we have a room that we can meet one-on-one, do a pre-need, talk funeral arrangements. I have my price list right here. We can discuss prices. It's all right here for you. We have created it. I'm going to go back to my office and take you to one room, and then I'm going to end this stream for today. Now I'm going to show you one more after this. This is, as you see, internet run a little slow. This is an arrangement office. Say you just said, Mr. Fish, I need to talk. We need to make arrangements. So-and-so just passed. I want, can we talk to you? I can send each of your family members the link, or you can send it to them. And as you can see, 6 of us can sit in this room together and discuss the funeral arrangement, all online. These rooms have been set up now for maybe a month or 2. They work flawlessly. I've had a few meetings with them, and I love it. Now, I'm going to take you to another. As I said, this is my office right here, but I'm going to take you to a special place. As the software loads. She's running slow. If anybody knows me, they know I like science. I love aviation. I was a music major. I have installed a planetarium. Digital planetarium. So if you just want to sit back and take a look at the solar system like you were in the 3rd grade going to the planetarium, we have it here as well. And as you see, we do have background music and we have a playlist, and you can just take time, spend time there, and enjoy. Now, this ends this episode. I'll see you next week. We'll be talking about something a little different. Peace.